Hello and welcome to Rauta's Black Metal Reviews. This time we go to the world of atmospheric black metal. This is Vspolokh, this way obviously, and as you can see, a nice A5 sized digipack release. Here is the album, Mertvozem. I don't know how to pronounce it because it's a Russian band and all that stuff. Now let's not get into geopolitics, let's not talk about that when we're talking about music here. I know Russia is not exactly the most popular places on earth this time, and as a Finnish citizen, I very much understand why. There comes the irony. This band reminds me musically very much bands like Drudk, which is from Ukraine, and now you get the reason why I even mentioned these geopolitics. But maybe it's the culture, despite different nationalities, maybe it's the past and all, which then again inspires such bands, because music doesn't know borders the same way governments and people. So whatever these guys are coming from, wherever the similar artists are coming from, there are similarities, which is why I wanted to mention that. Now with this rather weird disclaimer being mentioned, let's talk about the music and the packaging. As you can see, everything here kind of reeks of atmospheric one, not the most satanic, aggressive, violent bands and all that stuff. So it goes very much hand in hand with the given album. There are lots of Cyrillic letters here, so I don't expect you or me to really understand the full scope of things, so let's go just with the feeling, or like the wording is, atmosphere. Anyway, nice packaging overall, a 5-size digipack, thick booklet with lyrics and all, and then this special packaging and release by Purity Through Fire. That's pretty much of the packaging. Let's tune for band's Metal Archive site. Vspolokh, I don't know how to pronounce it properly. It's about 20 years old band now, focusing, according to Metal Archives anyway, nature, darkness, heathenism, heritage. In fact, this is very easy to believe, because given the music, which is all about atmosphere and all that stuff, this really kind of gives you the feeling that yes, topics like being heathen and, you know, nature, all that stuff is very much kind of seeping through the cracks and all with the given album. The band, despite of 10 years, hasn't been the most active when it comes to releasing albums. I mean, the first album in 2010, and already a few years in the making, and then another 10 years for the second album, and now, rather picking up the pace 4 years later, this newest album, the third one. However, these are, as you can see, some splits, EPs, whatever, between these albums, so that pretty much gives a little bit explanation why the albums haven't been happening more often, I guess. Members list gives you just a vague idea what these guys are, most of them having been in the band for quite some time, and a few past members as well. So what are these robed guys? Pretty cool band image if you ask me. What they are all about with this new album? Well, this one goes for 44 minutes, 6 tracks and all, so rather focus on the lengthy stuff, which then again goes hand in hand with the given style that is more about, by the way, this doesn't even show Purity Through Fire yet, which is curious. This was out late 2024, I think December, so there's that. Anyway, talking about this album is that, and the music is that it's very much on the atmospheric stuff, and often those songs are rather lengthy. So it's all about creating this certain feeling, you know, a certain set of emotions, such as this. It is why it's called atmospheric. Not so much in the individual riffings, okay, like this riff comes here and A, B, and C, and then you got bridge part and chorus parts and blah blah. More like kind of like going away from the classic metal or rock kind of structures in terms of songwriting. And it's not so much like that these individual riffs or even songs are the thing here which makes this captivating, but the kind of a feeling that it's, you know, picturing in a way. What separates this from Drudk is at least one part, like musically, is that this is more about growlier vocals. Sometimes, in fact, if you go nitpicking a little bit, you might even say this is atmospheric death black in the sense, because these vocals are way more growl style of stuff rather than your typical raspy, shrieky, screamy, which is obviously more common in black metal. But they fit this quite nicely, and they're not like proper death metal growls. I know this is just like kind of explaining the little bit of details which don't matter that much, I guess, but just to kind of showcase that there are differences, even if sometimes they are not that obvious. Now, however, if you would go to see similar artists tab, there are other bands which are mostly coming from Russia and Ukraine, and they are more about this atmospheric style, even if some have different ideas as well. But those who are fans of these given bands, and mostly for me this resonates with Drudk because I'm not that familiar with all of the other bands in the list, I guess this is a pretty safe bet. That is, if you can overlook certain fans like where this band is coming from. I mean, I get it. Much like politics, much like geopolitics, and other topics like religion can really put people off. And I get it. It's not for everybody. But if you like that kind of stuff, atmospheric black metal in the first place, and this kind of a warm production to go with it, I think this is a pretty safe bet. Overall, pretty good of an album, but I kind of hope albums would be having more of those hooks, some more memorable parts. Now it's more just like, let's put the setting right there, almost like a certain kind of a canvas, and then you really need to paint those beautiful details on it to make it a really, really great effort and all. And that's where this lacks, in my opinion, mostly. But it's not a big thing maybe for most people. Some people will say this is more beautiful than what I'm giving the description with and all, but I don't know, maybe it's just me and me looking for something more inhuman, something more dark, and something more violent than what this album is giving to me. But overall, pretty good of an album, so give it a go if you think atmospheric black metal is your cup of tea, especially if you're fans of Drudk and other bands of such sort. Now, links are provided in the description box. Do what you must. Bye bye.